Puma!
Yo,
All
what is
right.
up?
Oh, it's a big night, Puma.
It is. It's a huge night in sports. Baseball wise, you got the Mets playing the Dodgers, you got the Yankees playing Colorado, and you got your Knickerbockers playing against the Indiana Pacers. Now, I am Lakered out because I don't have a Indiana Pacer jersey.
Yeah,
So
stop
I
trying to fool the
figured
audience, dude.
yellow,
You're gonna
yellow,
get
and
jumped
yellow,
out here.
I'm Reggie Miller.
I- You know, there was a lot of talk when Halliburton did that. People were kind of like gassing up and like, oh, Halliburton's corny for doing that. But honestly, even being a Knicks fan, I thought it was kind of like epic. I was like, oh, watching it, he was like almost paying tribute to the Reggie Miller thing. That was
Yeah,
painful.
it was an epic conclusion, and we still got more to go. So let's see if the Knickknacks could come back.
So if people would happen to see this beforehand, would you bet on the Knicks or Pacers money line game two tonight, Friday, May 23rd? Who would you take? Knicks or Pacers?
Okay, I know I'm going for the Pacers, but for tonight's sake, I say the Knicks come back, tie it up 1-1. And then I think overall the Pacers take the series because the Pacers' plan starting out on the road was very simple. Just get one and then go home and maybe take two. So we'll see from there. But as this is being recorded, I feel the Knicks take tonight. If they don't, they are in serious trouble.
Yeah, if they don't, consider it over. I'll tell you right now. So anyway, we are the Fantasy Wise Guys. We are here. We're live. We wanted to go come at you with some different topics. Talk about whose stock is up, whose stock is down. But anyway, be sure to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I am Mike Meals.
Joey Puma in the flesh.
He's here. Puma, you wanted to talk today about just let's keep it simple. Whose value is up, whose value is down.
Mike, for me, George Kittle, San Francisco 49ers. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers keep Brock Purdy, give him that big deal last weekend, making him the highest paid quarterback right now. Him and Brock Purdy have done wonderful things together. One of his favorite targets. I mean, he targeted George Kittle 94 times. I
Yeah.
mean, last year, 2024 fantasy season for Kittle, his finish number two, tight end two on the year. He played 15 games, averaged 13 points a game. What could you ask more for a position that has scarcity? Like running back. I mean, you need a good tight end if you want to make it to the finals. Why
Yeah.
not go with a George Kittle? And if he's playing on a Thursday night, you know to plug and play him because that's his favorite time to go off.
Oh, for sure. I can agree with you more, man, because I was looking at like some of the that consensus when it comes to ADP. I mean, Brock Bowers was the number one last year. Kittle
Yes.
was the number two. And Kittle right now is getting drafted in like the late third round, where early second round is Brock Bowers. Like I feel like you can get Brock Bowers, and go over George Kittle and probably even get more value out of it now that you know Purdy's back.
It's crazy to think, but right now, if you ask me, I rather Kittle than Bowers. If you're asking me for dynasty and future long term, of course, the answer is Bowers, just for the pure fact of we're talking about age. But if you're
That's a good
asking
point.
me for today, especially when we brought up strength of schedule, they have a great, easy number one schedule, especially teams against the tight end. 49ers, George Kittle, I take them all day.
So George Kittle redraft all day. That's your guy.
Yeah. How
That's a
about
good
you,
one.
my friend? Whose stock is up for you?
If that's what we're talking about, okay. So for me, who did I go? Let's see. All right. I thought it was pretty obvious at the beginning of the year that Dallas wasn't making many moves. So CeeDee Lamb was already kind of in limbo. You don't know if Dak's coming back. You didn't, or if he's coming back super healthy. You don't know if CeeDee Lamb is super healthy. But now that we got
Right.
a little more word, these guys are playing, these guys are practicing already, and they just acquired George Pickens in a trade. giving another option on the field, another target for the defense. Yeah, I feel like it opens up things for CeeDee Lamb. And when we were worried about what was happening in terms of them drafting a running back, in terms of them drafting another wide receiver, it was kind of all pretty clear that hey, they're comfortable with this running back room. They brought in George Pickens. It looks like their focus is on the passing game. So to me, all those questions that we didn't have answered in the beginning as to what they wanted to do, what Dallas's plan was going to be, you can now see they are relying on the passing game. They brought in Pickens. They didn't really bring in any big name running back. They got Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, who we know were kind of subpar, if not even existent last year. So to me, this kind of officially lets it be known that CeeDee Lamb is their number one. They didn't draft an Ashton Genty. They didn't draft Omarion Hampton. Their number one option on offense is CeeDee Lamb. And this year, being that last year he kind of underperformed below expectations. 2 years ago, he was wide receiver one. I think we're going to see a very similar season now going forward. And CeeDee Lamb, to me, stock is up simply because of that, because Pete, there's question whether or not he's going to go late first or early first. You better take him early. You better lock him down.
I don't know if you
Guy.
saw the video last Wednesday night or Thursday. All the Cowboy players are going to go mini golf, and they got the schedule, and they saw that CeeDee Lamb would be facing the Eagles on Thursday night, the opener, and they're like, "Yo, that Guantanamo Bay, Quinton Mitchell, for the Eagles. Do you think he's gonna stop you?" He's like, "Man, he ain't gonna stop
He
nobody."
said he's never been locked down ever.
Right, he's never been locked. My man never been locked down in high school. He ain't never getting locked down.
Well, if you looked last year too for CeeDee Lamb against the Eagles, he had about well, he only had like 70 yards, but he had 10 targets and caught pretty much every single one. It was like 8 or 9 receptions. I'll get actual stats on you for that. But you're absolutely right. Like I feel like that attitude he's got is he's just very confident. He's a good
Yeah,
player, man.
yeah, and it's not, I don't feel like it comes off cocky for me. It feels like, no, you know what? Like when he's on the field and he's going against the defense, he's the best player at that time, and he's just gonna run with it. He's a stud. He's gonna get open. He's gonna get open against man coverage. And you know what? If you don't keep your eyes on number 88, you can take it to the house.
So the mistake is he didn't exactly have 70 yards, but he did have 10 targets, 6 receptions, 60% catch rate. So yeah, he had a little tough day over there in Philly. I'd love to see what they're gonna do this year.
Well, that was probably without Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush
So
was there.
let's not, take that out of the equation. He did not have a quarterback. He can't throw it to himself. So for me, I love your point about CeeDee Lamb, ABCD, and he's definitely going to have a great year, especially having another weapon alongside him. And his quarterback is back behind center, Dak Prescott.
Wait, my bad. It was on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, like Verizon. Hear me now?
Who do you got? Who do you got next?
Yeah, this is what happens when Len's not around. For me, number two, stock up Jalen Hurts rent a car. Now, don't get me wrong, he was my top five quarterback going into oh my God, that is epic. And you got the throwback helmet. Or is that a hat? But
This is Sam's. This is Samantha's.
that's epic. It's so funny. All those years ago when they drafted Jalen Hurts back in 2020, I said to myself, this guy is going to be the next Russell Wilson. Well, you know what? He became better than him. Super Bowl MVP later. He is dynamite. And with the tush push staying now in the NFL, the NFL actually upheld it, so now the Eagles could still use the tush push in their favor. I think Jalen Hurts stock up completely. I mean, when within the 5 yard line, you know what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing, and they still cannot be stopped.
Big time. Big
You know,
time.
Mike, like last year, he was quarterback 9 on the year, which is not too bad, still in the top 10. He played 15 games. His consensus is number 5. So we all think he's going to finish top 5, top 6 in the league. I mean, Mike, he averaged at least 19 points per week. So that is very key, especially at the quarterback position, and a quarterback that could run because not only the tush push, but there was a couple of times within the red zone he ran for 20 yards and got a touchdown.
Yeah, and right now there's a lot of guys going ahead of him in draft. Josh Allen,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels. Some people might even draft Joe Burrow. Do
Yeah.
you think it's good that people are this down on Hurts, or you think he can, finish top five QB, top
Well, I
three?
think it's great for us that they're down on him, but I think overall he will finish as a top three quarterback. I'm going out on the limb. I think that last year was not a fluke. And, look at opening night. I mean, Dallas lost a lot of key pieces on defense. No more DeMarcus Lawrence, So for me, who's stopping them? Who's stopping them again this year? They have a chance to probably go all the way again. And to just stay on the Jalen Hurts topic, I have a feeling he gets even better numbers. They kept Mekhi Becton. Their line is intact. And they still have our boy Devontae Smith he's throwing to. And, he's got A.J. Brown, the scholar, reading a book. So I think he's going to be all good to go as a good fantasy top five option.
No, it's a good pick, man. Let's see what happens with him. All right, so let's see who I got here next. I had to go with somebody that everybody's always a little skeptical on, but being that it's so fitting this year that they also did not draft any major running back, DeAndre Swift. I think Swift's stock value is through the roof right now. They didn't really make any major acquisitions in terms of running back room over there. They got a new coach being Ben Johnson. So they are hungry for the playoffs this year. They have a lot of acquisitions for that offensive line. They've they've made a lot of key pieces or brought in a lot of key pieces. They just brought in Luther Bird in the third. But again, no running back. DeAndre Swift is back there. You know that they're going to do something with him. 2 years ago, you saw flashes of greatness while he was in Philadelphia. Last year, he only finished as the running back 19, but a quiet running back 19. This was a running back two nonetheless. So I think this year, kind of another year in, over there in Chicago. No other running backs brought in, all additions throughout the offense. A guy like DeAndre Swift, might get some good value. And this is somebody you're drafting in like the seventh, sixth round. So
Yeah, no,
he has a
definitely a
steal.
great, his stock is up. You're definitely right, Mike. A great pick. And he can be a sleeper come draft season. I mean, if the Chicago Bears don't sign like a Nick Chubb, right? Like his value will only skyrocket come draft season in August. And I believe that is a great pick. And especially that they didn't draft anyone to be behind him. I mean, right now it's DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert went to the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm
They have
trying to think.
Roshan Johnson. Is there?
Roshan Johnson, the old Texas Longhorn.
Yeah,
So yeah, he is the backup. Not really anything to be scared of, but I love that pick. Great pick.
absolutely.
All right, Mike. Now it's time for whose stock is down. Some players that we maybe will think about come draft season to avoid. For me, it's Colston Loveland. I mean, I loved him coming out of college. You know that he was one of my sleepers. But this is more about the situation he was drafted in. I know Ben Johnson had come out and said, he probably looks at him as a future Sam Laporta. But for right now, if we were to draft today, I can't see him more than a tight end, maybe top 15, top 20. I mean, there's a lot of weapons in that offense. Like you just mentioned, DeAndre Swift, right? And then you have, they just drafted Burden as well. You got Roma Dunze. You got DJ Moore. I mean, there's so many weapons to choose from. I just think right now, and even Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet could be another weapon for Caleb Williams. If anything, this is great for Caleb Williams. But for Colston Loveland, he's no more than a tight end two, if not a tight end three right now. Someone you may want to add on your bench to see, maybe a bye week filler.
Yeah.
But right now, stock down. I mean, he hasn't even practiced in a while. He's had a shoulder injury. And, as of May 22nd, which was yesterday, he hasn't been present at OTAs. So, and he is not participating either. Maybe he will come back for mandatory minicamp, which is June 3rd to the 5th. and we'll see from there. But right now, as we speak, May 23rd, right now his stock is down for me.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right when it comes to the offensive pieces. They have a lot of guys, and Cole Kmet just signed an extension a year ago, didn't he?
Yeah, like a year and a half ago. So
He ain't going
this
nowhere.
move, I think the Bears were just going best available and just trying to fill seats to, have the more weapons for Mr. Caleb Williams. So I don't fault them for that. Colston Loveland's a great pick, but in the end, for this year, I'm trying to avoid him or his stock is down for me at the moment.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, that's a good one. And honestly, someone for me who also got affected by the draft, Jaden Reed. Now, Jaden Reed, as you know, is the quote unquote wide receiver one over in Green Bay. And the reason I mention that quote is because his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, called the Packers after they drafted Matthew Golden, kind of wanted to know, hey, we want to talk about Jaden's role. What is he over there? Is his role affected at all? Like, does this change anything for him? And they told him and reassured him that he's the wide receiver one there. You're the top guy. But to me, based in fantasy last year, I don't think there was any top guy over there in Green Bay. And now that you brought in another wide receiver, you got Golden, Jaden Reed, Christian
Too
Watson,
many mouths to feed.
Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. Somebody's going to end up going. They're going to end up
I'm
trading
and
somebody, I have to assume.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, you just bring up his name just gives me PTSD because he killed me week 15 of the playoffs
Yep,
in one of my other leagues, my one of my serious leagues.
I
So
remember.
that I will never forget, and I will never draft him ever in my life again. But for me, yeah, there's just always been too many mouths to feed, and even Matthew Golden too. Like we have to see it to believe it. And
Definitely.
right now, the water's a little murky. It's a little foggy. We cannot connect the dots too much. Still too early. But you're totally right with that, and that was a great
And
pick
the
as
and week
well.
one last you saw it like the hot and cold flashes. Week one last year and PPR 31.1 points against Philly. Then he went 5.6, 8.9. Then he had another boom game of 23.6 points. Then 11, 11, 2, 6. 13, 8, 4. Then he had another big game, 18, then 0, 8, 9. So, and then 1 and 4. So this guy completely screwed people in the playoffs. Number one, he didn't even accumulate more than 20 points in total, fantasy wise, from weeks 15 through 17, which are the playoff weeks. So, listen, Jaden Reed to me, if it wasn't down already, it's even more down. His stock is down after that draft.
Totally. My pick, Mike, and pains me to say this because I am a big fan, but Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit Lions. For
How
me,
dare you?
I feel like he's a consensus fourth overall, fifth overall pick. I think it's too high right now in mock drafts. Uh, though he did finish as running back three last year. I mean, he averaged like 20 points per game for PPR. But in the end, that was due to David Montgomery getting hurt. David Montgomery, as of yesterday in OTAs, he is back full go. He's running routes, he's participating. Everything is a go, and you get yourself in that timeshare. Again, we cannot foresee injuries, right? That is something that is unforeseen. But what we can see is the here and now. And right now, it's a 50-50 timeshare like it's been. And last but not least, a new offensive coordinator, right? No more Ben Johnson. We brought up the Chicago Bears just before. Like he's over there in Chicago now. How are they gonna run this offense? Is it gonna be more St. Brown? Is it gonna be more JMO, those go routes? Or, is it Jahmyr Gibbs? We do not know. And for a top five pick, you need a sure thing. And right now, he's not a sure thing for me.
Yeah, so basically his consensus you're saying is like more like a ceiling prediction.
Right.
They're saying running back four. You're saying this is ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And even in some mock drafts, I mean, you've seen, he's going top five, top seven. And for me, that's too rich for someone that's in a timeshare. Now, if we went into this year and we said, either David Montgomery isn't playing or he has been dealt and they drafted like a low end day three running back, sure, no problem. I believe he'd be a top three pick, but just because he's still in that timeshare role for me, he probably slides a little bit down, number 10 overall, something like that.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction, my friend, as they like to say.
Yeah, I mean, like anything else, when you have those big explosion years, you are due for some regression the following year. Look at a la CMC 2 years ago. Even whatchamacallit, Josh Jacobs coming into this year, like he's due for some regression. Not everyone can sustain that kind of success and fantasy outcome.
That's the interesting thing about fantasy. It's almost like you're trying to get that next guy who's gonna pop
Right.
off. You know what I mean?
Not for long, baby.
Not for long. So I guess speaking of not for long, it'll lead me to my next one. Chris Godwin. Now, I know this is your boy, and I love him too. Great player, great guy, but another one, draft day kind of came in as a reckoning. They did bring out in the first round, they drafted Mika Akbuka. So there's another wide receiver added to that team, that roster. They already have Jalen McMillan. Chris Godwin's also coming off like a catastrophe of an ankle injury. Uh, he broke his ankle completely. So I'm sure he's rehabbing to come back. We might see him week one, we might not. But this just shows me that they know Chris Godwin could be on his way within the next year or two. And if not this year, I don't think we're gonna see the same production we've seen out of him these last couple of years. Last year he started off hot. Those first couple weeks, 18 points, 21 points, 14 points. And that was then he had a couple of down games and then 30 points. And then the last game against Baltimore, which is where he broke his ankle, week 7. After that, he was gone. So you're talking he hasn't played in almost a year already. So I can't imagine Chris Godwin's going to be the same player as last year. And after that draft, just acquiring more pieces. They got Bucky Irving, they got all the running backs. Not to mention, it's a new coach, new system. Same thing. Liam Cohen is now in Jacksonville, so he's not the offensive coordinator there anymore. These young guys are probably going to get a lot of play. So Chris Godwin, I don't have the same expectations for him as I did last year, and I think that that could have been his peak. So we'll see, but
I love
wish
that
him the
pick,
best.
Myke, as well. I mean, you've hit them all on the nail tonight, and that is definitely another one. I mean, you do not invest capital in a first day wide receiver if you're not going to use him. Buka is the future. I think they are a little hesitant on Chris Godwin's ankle. How is he going to come back? What's his rep count going to be? But you've got McMillan there. You got Abuka. And last but not least, Mike Evans, man. And, Baker Mayfield has been utilizing the tight ends, Cade Otton, Darius Payne. You got my boys back there, Bucky Irving, Boring. These guys, Boring is in a contract year. There's just too many mouths to feed in a la like a Chicago Bear situation. Great for the quarterback. This is a great situation for Baker Mayfield. His stock is through the roof. But I do agree
Through
with
the
you. Chris
roof.
Godwin, a little bit down now. We have to see how he's going to come back from the injury and his snap count. A lot of people just go based off of the talent, but availability is number one. It doesn't matter how good you are. If your player is not getting snaps and he's getting 30% or lower, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And whatever he gets in terms of looks, targets, attempts, he has to make the most of it. I feel in the beginning it's just going to be a little bit, it's not going to be enough exposure because
Yep.
he is working back from that ankle.
And right now, there's a lot of guys getting drafted behind him that I would take over Godwin. Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams, George Pickens, Khalil Shakir, even Travis Hunter, I would probably take over him right now. That to me, just just show us his ADP is a little too high, as you'd like to say, a little too rich for my taste. So,
Exactly. In fantasy drafts, sometimes you got to be like a stockbroker, you know. Sometimes if it's a little bit too high, you got to know when to dive.
oh
And
yeah.
when it's a little too low, that's when you pounce. So, definitely while the fans are tuning into us, hopefully they could expose themselves to some of this knowledge and some of these tips going forward. That's for sure.
So since we're running out of time here, let's do a quick who would you rather draft? So who's a made guy? Who's sleeping with the fishes?
Let's do it.
I read one, you tell me who, and then I'll say who, and then back and forth. Let's go back and forth, all right?
All right. Let's do it.
So the first one, Drake London or Lad McConkey?
I was looking at this before a video, and this is probably, I was like, he's leading off with a toughie. For me, you know who I'm taking? And I hate to say it. I hate to say it. Drake London.
Ah, me too, man. Damn it.
Because again, the big part is the schedule, and also too, you have a second year quarterback in Michael Penix, who I believe will look to him. Now, don't get me
Me
wrong, you
too.
can't lose in this situation because Lad McConkey, he's the number one there as well. But for me, if I'm gonna go with an offense, I'm gonna go with Atlanta versus the Chargers because the Chargers are run first and they're gonna try to establish that wing T with Jim Harbaugh. You got Hampton, you got um, Najee Harris. So for me, not that Atlanta don't have Bijan, but I think they'll try to make the sophomore quarterback try to throw more.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Drake just because of the ability. Bigger, better, stronger, faster. I'm gonna take him. So Mike Evans or Tyreek Hill?
Oh God, this is another tough one. I am gonna go right now today, Mike Evans.
I gotta go Tyreek.
I know. You know what? And I have a Tyreek jersey. I have Tyreek in my dynasty league. I love Tyreek Hill, but you know what? The emergence of Jonnu Smith, you got Devon Achan taking over the backfield there. Can Tua stay healthy? For me, it's Mike Evans all day long. I know we spoke about, Abuka, Godwin, McMillan, but in the end, the rapport that Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans have is historic. And when Baker's in trouble, he's looking for Mike Evans.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Because they've had Tyreek and Tua have also had a big fling at one point. So
Yeah. Let's do this. Next one. How about this one? I got you now. Jalen Warren or Tyrone Tracy, ya boy, Mr. New Jersey Gourmet.
this one's really tough because
That
I
is
love
tough.
Tyrone Tracy, but Jalen Warren also got another. Let's just start with this. Both running backs, both teams drafted rookies right behind them, rookie running backs. One, Caleb Johnson going to the Steelers, and then Cam Scatterable going to the Giants. Right now, I like my chances with Tyrone Tracy simply because the offense is put together. The pieces are there. They're already practicing. Steelers have no idea what's in store at quarterback. So just for that reason alone, I'm going Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, Mike, for me, I'm going Jalen Warren. I do like Tracy as a, prospect coming out. I do like him as a player, but it comes back to that NFL schedule. The Giants have one of the hardest schedules. I mean, dude, I've looked up and down that schedule. I maybe found two wins, maybe. It is going to be very hard, and now he has to compete with Scatterbo. You could say that Jalen Warren has to worry about Caleb Johnson, but here's the thing. He's the veteran coming in. He's going to get the snaps. He's dealing with a Mike Tomlin. He's going to make sure he gets first crack at it. And whoever the quarterback is, they could always rely on a run game.
I think the Giants are going to be a little spunky this year. I think everyone's underestimating them. I think they're going to have some flair to them. I think Dable really is going to. You saw some flashes of last year when even when he had Drew Lock in that quarterback, they made some plays. They got a little scrappy. Malik got the ball a lot, and Tracy you saw did pretty good. So
Yeah,
Tyrone Tracy Jr., baby. right?
That's right. All right, Mike. Baker Mayfield or Patrick Mahomes? Wow.
Do you like that one?
That was a good one too. These were well thought out. Who you taking?
You know, every part of me wanted to say Baker Mayfield, but this year I'm putting my chips in on Patrick Mahomes. I think the guy came, you already saw he got a new look, new haircut. He's hungry. Everybody was talking badly about them last year. Everyone hated on the Chiefs. These guys, clearly, everybody is down on them, but they are the best team in the NFL, and he is no mistake the best quarterback in the NFL. I think we're going to see a lot better numbers from him this year. And being that his draft ADP is so low, I just have to believe he's going to bring out the most value he can. So, is it tempting to go Baker? Yeah, of course, but he's also in a totally new offense. Patrick Mahomes getting some weapons back. Rashi Wright's coming back. Pacheco's coming back. These guys might have some flair to them. Make no mistake. I again, I don't like the Chiefs at all, but I think everybody's sleeping on Patrick Mahomes, and I think this guy should be in a higher tier than he is right now.
For me, it's Baker's dozen.
Of course,
Baker Mayfield. I mean, we just spoke about it. Abuka, Mike Evans, yada yada yada. The list goes on. I don't really care for me their new offensive coordinator because they've done it before, right? This is they're going to be their third offensive coordinator in a third year. Baker Mayfield is used to transitioning. I don't think the guy has had a consistent person since Freddie Kitchens and Cleveland Browns. So I expect Baker to get on top of it. A plethora of weapons down in Tampa. Yeah, and like I said in last show, the division, like Patrick Mahomes has to play the harder defenses. Baker Mayfield, Carolina Panthers, right? New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons. Weak defenses. The hardest defense out of all of them
still
is
has a
going to be
tougher
Atlanta.
schedule though.
Yeah, and if you look back to last year's Thursday night game, it was like the highest scoring game between him and Kirk Cousins. But it was early. It was like week 4, week 5. But no, I go Baker all day, and I know Mahomes got the new haircut, the new this, the new that. And at the end of the day, I feel like Baker is worth it more. He doesn't have the name value as Patrick Mahomes. If we're talking real football all day, Patrick Mahomes.
Of course.
But we are talking
We're
fantasy.
talking fantasy football.
Baker Mayfield.
Patrick Mahomes. Just so you guys know, for anybody watching, Baker Mayfield is the QB6 right now, and Patrick Mahomes is the QB7. Any more?
Wow.
You got any more?
Yeah, last but not least, Alvin Kamara or Joe Broadway Mixon. What do you got?
This was probably the hardest one for me out of all of them because
Not for me, actually, but go on. I think it's easy. I think it's the easiest one out of all of them.
I mean, it was hard because I think Mixon was very explosive last year and he's arguably healthy again. But remember, he is, with CJ Stroud, where the offense does run through him. I'm gonna have to go with Alvin Kamara. I just love his durability. He signed that extension. I've always had a thing for him. I know you have too. And he's a PPR machine. So if he's in this offense, regardless, now you got Tyler Shue as quarterback. I think he's gonna see a lot of dump offs. I think that's another guy who's going to show some spunk. They'll do whatever they can to move the ball, and Kamara is going to be a part of it every step of the way.
Dude, I cannot agree with you more. It's Alvin Kamara for me. Lights, camera, Kamara action.
Absolutely.
This guy is a dog. He's been a dog in the league since 2017. I mean, he hasn't even switched teams. He stayed on the same team. 3 coaches later, 4 coaches later, still a New Orleans Saint. For me, Joe Mixon, he had a great year last year, but I saw towards the end he started to dip down. And like we said, it does run through CJ Stroud. They got Jaden Higgins in the draft. You got Nico Collins still there. And I think they want to do more passing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Saints, younger quarterback, they're gonna lean more towards the run. Like you said, the dump offs makes all the sense. Alvin Kamara all day long.
Well, that'll do it. Thanks again for joining the Fantasy Wise guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Mike Meals.
Joey Puma, how you doing? Gym Tan Laundry, baby.
Master
Memorial
your
Day
game,
weekend.
baby. The commission's here.